expanded this way, it's still decent. And look, the flame tower and infantry, they're just... that's bad. This is very bad. Now let's just monitor army values, exactly the same.
Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. It's Dvoid here. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game and we're on Pulverise map. This one I've mentioned is a recent creation or a recent release from J Megatank. I've mentioned this before, and it's a map that has become one of my new favourites. So you may see this map being featured in my posts now and then. It is, like I say, it's established now as one of my favourite maps. I like this one. And I like the look of it and everything, the positioning. Even though the initial starting patches of resources, of ore, they run out. They seem to me to run out quite quickly. But that's, you know, that's just a feature of the map. There's nothing wrong with that. And it may make you expand as soon as possible, because you should be doing. You know, you can soon run out of cash. And if it's at the wrong moment, it's run out of income and resources. If you do, then your money's going to run out. And if it's at the wrong moment, you're done for. So the macro, as they call it, you know, your economy, your strategic side, all the base and everything, that's important to monitor that and to learn to watch for signs. And as your demand on your income becomes higher, because now I've got a barracks and I'm building structures. Now, I could also build base defences, but it's not that much demand. And now I've only got one ore truck. But when you've got, say, 6 ore trucks, it may sound like a lot, but you're building vehicles, you're building defences, you're building structures, you're building infantry, you may be building support powers and things like aircraft, and you can have a huge demand on your income. And if you run out of resources at the wrong moment, while you've got such a heavy drain on your resources, then, you know, all of a sudden you'll find yourself in a bad situation, and if your opponent's applying pressure, you won't be able to recover. But so far, we've got a standard pattern. We're both going for these central oil derricks with the flame tower as well. My opponent's going to capture the second oil derrick. I've got them both and the flame tower, and I'm moving on now to the hospital. But I'm making sure my opponent doesn't have a rifleman here waiting for me to move between the two. Because a smart player would. All you need is a rifleman here. And he could hopefully catch your engineer as he makes his way from these 2 oil derricks to the hospital. Because you should capture these first. You don't want to go for the hospital first. Because all the time you're capturing that, you should have been capturing these and having the income from them. There's 2 of them. You know, you may as well. And plus, you don't want your enemy to get a presence there, because a lot of players will go straight for your oil derricks, the ones that are closer to your spawn point, just to get a strong presence and establish an outpost there. And imagine if I'd taken this and this, imagine it'd be a difficult situation for your opponent, because in the early game, you've got these view range bonus from the oil derricks and the flame tower as well, and the flame tower's defences as well. So you've got an area you can defend here and hold, plus it's worth it because you get an income from it that your opponent is not, and it's close to this expansion, you know, which limits your opponent and makes it fairly sure that they're going to expand this way, so you can prepare for that. It would be a dire situation if you could capture that. Now my opponent's got units moving over here, look, with his MCV, and he's got his engineer, and I caught these units in the middle but thought nothing of it. I thought these were the first rocket soldiers he's trained, these ones moving up. Obviously I can't see them yet, but I was moving forward with these guys, and I thought these were the first rocket soldiers he'd trained, but they're not. I'm under attack here. Now I did see I'm placing structures, so I know it's there, and I'm using my ore truck for screening and to try and crush the enemy, but my war factory was in trouble. Luckily I took out the engineer because he was trying to capture my service depot, but my opponent has got a flame tower. Now that, I didn't know the construction yard was there at first. It's the ore truck telling me all that, so I'm in trouble. They've got base defences, of which they're going to be building more, so I had to start building my own. I had to. And then bring everything back I could, but the attack move has caught them here and I've lost my APC. That is a problem. Now I've lost a barrack, so I've got 1, My opponent's got 2. And I should have had 2, so my opponent's got a decent build order. Even though they've expanded this way, it's still decent. And look, the flame tower and infantry, they're just... That's bad. This is very bad. Now let's just monitor army values. Exactly the same. My opponent's 200 ahead. But I've had to fall back, you know, and check the power situation. We're both hanging on for power, but I had to fall back, look, and I'm placing defences and attacking while I've got them because I can't afford to leave a base defence on its own. It's that bad a situation, and I'm trying to take out these power plants while my enemy's moving away from his assets. So now we've got exactly the same amount of army value. So my opponent's got these units on the way. And I'm trying to keep my build order going. But I've lost my war factory, I've lost my service depot. And here we go. My opponent's got a very good position. It looks like they've got a few less units, but a very good position. And look, I've just having a few of those units trimmed has caused like a big problem, and now I've got the smaller army, and these base defences have killed my army. It wasn't an army, it was a squad, but I've got this APC, that's brilliant. I can do some crushes and stuff, hopefully. Seeing there's no rocket troops, so I can quickly realise that I can do crushes, look. I've got no rocket soldiers, which you need rocket soldiers. Even if it's 1 to 5 riflemen and 1 rocket soldier, it's better than nothing, because that's what I'm building at the moment, because I'm struggling. But at least 1 rocket soldier to 5 rifles is better than no rocket soldiers. There you go, they are training rocket soldiers now. But all the action is taking place here, and now at this point I'm thinking, oh okay, I'm alright, I've hung on here, this isn't too bad. And look, a base defence, when I've got a couple of rocket soldiers, makes all the difference. There we go. Trying to take out the power, and I'm in low power, and it's because I'm building base defences. So I'm in low power, not anymore, but I've sold my base defences to do it. Those APCs absolutely invaluable, and I can't repair that, but I don't want to lose it. Let's check. My opponent's got 0 army value, now they're up to 300. I've trained a rocket soldier, look. Let's see, power situation, yeah, we're okay, both. And I'm trying to take out rocket soldiers without losing APCs, look. Now, I just lost 1. And look, the flame towers, if they catch you, they just kill your troops, they're deadly. And I've lost a... Oh, he survived the APC. Cool. Splash damage will finish it. Or a rocket soldier, look. Oh, I got the... I got it. I got the flame tower. Can I take out the rocket soldiers? Not easy to pick them out, but there you go. Now let's look at the army values. I'm at 500, my opponent's at 700. I've got an engineer. And an APC now. My army value's taken off there. 1,350. And look, I'm going for crushes and trying to keep the enemy distracted. It's important to keep your opponent busy at times like that, and I couldn't clip the rocket soldier. Couldn't take him out. And there you go, I've got a repair bay and war factory rebuilt. But my engineer, I couldn't find a sneaky way through to try and capture this because the flame towers... I could probably position my engineer here. But no, then again, no, I can't. There's no capture point for that Conyard. Definitely not now. Well, I've got like 3 riflemen and a rocket soldier to defend everything. Now I'm falling back, and I've got no resources here. There's a couple, you know, I'm harvesting these, but I've got a tank, a rocket soldier, and a few rifles. I'm at 2,350 army value. My opponent's at 3,900. And look, I'm losing valuable structures, and they're attacking with flame towers and infantry, and they've got lots of rocket soldiers. So my vehicles are going to have a hard time. I should now switch to rifle production, heavy rifle production. And yeah, they couldn't drop off their ore, but I'm ordering them here, look, to drop off their ore at this refinery and then move around this way. I've got my engineer out of the way, and I'm keeping my units with a single tank back, because that tank will get wasted by these. There's nothing I can do, and it's heartbreaking seeing these structures go down like that, look. I should be selling them really, but I think I was busy. Yeah, I did try. I was busy, had my hands full. I'm trying to get these ore trucks to drop off their ore and get out of there. I've just built a power plant, but I'm in low power, but it's this. I've sold it, and I've sold that. Now it's dropped off its ore. I could have left an ore truck here to harvest this in a refinery, but they'd only have destroyed it. So I'm sending these round this way just to try and distract my opponent. Now my opponent paused it because they were happy that they were doing so well. They were a bit puzzled, like they were, you know, surprised they were winning. So I was like, yeah, don't worry about that, it's okay, you know, that was a good base push. But I've sent these units around this way, this guy's here just to see if they start setting up refineries and stuff where I was, but these guys are moving in to see what kind of response I get by attacking the power plant. Let's look at army values. I'm at 3,700, my opponent's at 8,500, and they're destroying my hospital, I saw that. And now this force of infantry, this is a waste because there's no rocket soldiers, which means my tank will absorb all your bullets and these guys will destroy your infantry for nothing. For absolutely nothing. And now there's a big attack here, look. I've got the view range of my barracks. I'm keeping the tank. There, it's died. Look, I was saying I was gonna keep it back, but nah. And this is the best position I can come up with, and I can't build a base defence because they've destroyed my barracks. It stopped my base defence production just as I was going to place one. But I can see here I've won this engagement because my opponent won't be able to see much of what I've got. So I knew I'd won that engagement. Now I've got an APC. My army value's at 2,500, my opponent's at 4,500, so they're still ahead in army value. Yeah, they've got a nice force here, look. And I've sent my engineer on a mission. I thought, I kind of gauge my opponent and thought I'll be able to do this. So I sent it around the long way, but I'm trying to avoid any enemy infantry along the very side of the map. But now I'm here, obviously this is enemy territory, but I want to go on some captures and stuff. I'm not even sending a rifleman ahead to scout, he's just going on a fingers crossed capture. And this is everything I've got crushed into this small section to get these resources. But my opponent's obviously not paying attention to this. And I'll show you what I can see, look, there. So I thought, right, I know there's a barracks there, I don't want to go any further and reveal myself, so I've ordered a capture of those 5 structures, look at that, nice. We'll see how far I get. And my opponent had that force on this side, look, but with no vehicles, they're obviously, yeah, the base push tactics work fine, but the no vehicles like that is not going to help your attacks. There's a flamethrower soldier in there, and there's no rocket soldiers. Now you can't do that. That's not. And I thought I'm sending all my vehicles. They're just going to crush these guys, and my infantry will mop up the dregs. I had no doubt, no fear whatsoever about that force. And what's happened? Maybe they killed my last infantryman over there. But yeah, I thought, well, that's not good for my opponent. As long as I keep my cool and hold it together, I know I've won this. Because of the way it's gone. That's what I was thinking at this point. And not long before, 5 minutes ago, I had lost, and I knew it. I knew I'd lost it. But now I think, after that performance, I'm thinking, well, surely I've won this. You know, there's a ways to go. And I've captured 2 refineries and a power plant, but my engineer got killed by these guys. But I sold 1 refinery, and I'm keeping these. And I've used the units that I got from selling the refinery, and they're my defences for these 2 structures. So I got a bonus power plant and 2 refineries out of the enemy. Now my opponent's got an MCV there. Have they still only got 1? Because that's really bad. Yeah, they have only got 1. Army value, I'm at 11,000, my opponent's at 14,000, so they are still building up an army that's stronger than mine. And I'm moving my forces this way, look, at the wrong moment. You see, I'm still not scouting. I'm still not, you know, doing things right, but I got this. This is my warning triggered. And I'm placing my base defences. Look, this is just to delay the enemy a little bit and get in position around the conyard. And I'm not losing that. I thought if it starts to come under heavy fire, it's moving away. And I did worry about the flak trucks, but my opponent isn't, you know, he's not, they're destroyed, look, they had no chance. Now moving my vehicles for screening position, but my opponent actually had a good combination of units and killed some tanks there, but my infantry were just mopping them up all the time they were doing that. Even though it's only a brief few seconds that it takes for them to kill my tanks, in those few seconds my infantry are killing theirs, and that's how you win the engagements. There you go, look, my APCs can just draw fire from flame towers. That was a nice placement, but still it's right in front of my units. So, but at least it got a few shots off, and I saw my opponent approach from this side and thought, right, I can take them on, no problem, because of the positioning, but then I saw that I'm taking losses and that I'm in the view range of this power plant. So I thought, while I've got a solid screen, I'm backing off. 7,000 army value to me, 6 to my opponent. And they haven't reacted to that, look. Oh yeah, they've got you. They have now. There you go. And they've got primary production down there. They're probably trying to destroy it. And they're moving forward with an MCV. That's a base push. $9,000 army value to me. 6,000 to my opponent. And they are using tanks properly now. Yeah, that wasn't a good placement. See how well that screen works when you just don't have rocket soldiers. You know, you can't fight without them. Look at that. Tanks are just bouncing all the bullets. You can't fight without rocket soldiers. And at this point, I was aware of the construction yard and I didn't want it driving away. Check how their power situation's doing. They're hung on for power, or, you know, I had a harder situation with power than they did. But there you go, I sent my tanks ahead. He's not getting away, not with those tanks like that. And then this is a rampage. And I've expanded here and here. And I've, you know, you can tell by the, you know, what I've got there. I'm not that worried about it being attacked. I'm assuming my opponent's attention is all here trying to defend this. And I've got 10 grand cash, my opponent's got 2.5. I've got my radar dome and airfield, but you see I'm not destroying the refineries. And there's an engineer. And there's a thief. And I am building aircraft as well. Let's see, they're still hanging on for power. Very good. They're still not in low power. Very effective for maintaining their power supply. And there you go, there's the first infiltration. They haven't got that much cash, to be fair. So that was a 797 by the looks of it. 787 maybe. Nearly 800, and the next infiltration is only going to be a 500 because they haven't got the cash, but they did sell, I think they sold a structure and killed the engineer, used it to kill the engineer. But you see the screening from my tanks, without rockets you cannot fight. And it's a shame because my opponent caught me right off guard with that base push, and it's been a constant struggle pretty much up until the point I defeated their attack here and on this side. Then things quietened down until I built up the strength to mop up the map. But fair play to my opponent for that base push. It knocked me straight off my spawn point. You know, I couldn't stop them. You know, I can't deny that. They did well. I couldn't hold my own base. They in fact ended up setting up refineries at my base, and they've got my expansion, my base. They've got this. They've done well. I didn't actually notice that. Very nice, and they've still got this. It's a perfectly good base, and it looks like they've recaptured it, perhaps. Or maybe built... No, they recaptured it or built another. Oh, yeah, there was an engineer. I shot him. I just killed him with a plane, sorry. So maybe their engineer captured that back, I'm guessing. and I'm sending my planes and my armies, taking out the power, and my opponent's got no cash. And they're still not in low power, and they've called it. So there you go, that was a bit of a comeback, you could say, because like I say, my opponent knocked me straight off my spawn point here. I couldn't hang on. I tried to hold it and I couldn't. So yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed that game, good fun. And that was actually my first game. I didn't have a game till later on in the day. This was my first game. So it was ideal, an ideal opponent for a warm-up, because obviously not a lethal player that's going to wipe me straight out. But they caught me by surprise with that base push. So it was a good warm-up, a good starter game. You know, I enjoyed that. Good on them. And well played. I'll go through the army graphs and charts and stuff, but look at that, look at the army graph for that up until the minute 6. Look at that, both of us pretty much the same, but my opponent was behind at the start and ahead for the second half of it. So for the first, say, 3.5 minutes they were behind slightly, and then for the next 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes, I was behind slightly. So, and then they had a big drop in army value while I had a small peak, but I've obviously suffered losses again, and they were ahead. So yes, there was a fair point after I'd set up here that they did still have a larger army value. I believe at one point it was 14,000 to my, say, 11 or something. And look at this spike in army value they had. It must be when they attacked with infantry and a single flamer here, on this side perhaps. Or maybe when I overran them here, yes, it must have been. When I attacked forward and they brought forward an MCV, that must be that point. And it's a sharp drop, look, because my tanks did such a good job screening because they didn't have the rocket soldiers. They did until they attacked, until I set up here, they had that large group of rocket soldiers, but, you know, they didn't replace enough after that. But yeah, that's a sharp drop, although I suffered a drop in forces as well, look. But then I had a solid income set up, expansions set up, and it just, my army value skyrocketed, whereas theirs didn't. So that was just like the last few minutes, you know. It was a good struggle. That here's the earnings graph. My opponent had a nice spike at the start, and yeah, some ups and downs for me, but okay towards the end. My opponent had a more stable graph, but lower at the end. Right, my finishing army. I've got 3 Yak attack planes, 11 heavy tanks, so I've got a few thieves. My engineer. Oh no, I trained another engineer. I think because of the... Or did I? Let me just think. There's an engineer there, so I think that was the one. I trained an engineer for the chokehold, but it died. Did I train another? Or is that my original engineer? My original one must have died. Yeah, I'm guessing that's just an engineer I've trained. And a small amount of infantry, not a lot, about a company. And the combat graph chart, and not chart, it's the combat tab, sorry. Here's the army value. I'm at 24,000 army value at the end, and I lost 23 structures. My opponent lost 39 structures. I killed 388 units. My opponent killed 235. I destroyed 93,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent destroyed 61,000 credits worth of my assets. Support powers. I built an airfield, look, after my radar dome, so I had plenty of cash by then. Once I started to build up a good solid income again, I couldn't spend it quick enough. So I've got paratroopers and a spy plane counting down. Production, I need to get 7 barracks. I only managed to build up to 4. Because obviously I've lost all my starting barracks, so you need up to 7 barracks as early as possible. So having 4 at this point, I need them replaced. That would have given me 5, so I would need 2 more barracks quickly to get my infantry production properly going. I'm building infantry, heavy tanks and defences. Right, I managed to hang on to my 2 oil derricks. They did destroy my hospital though, and I got my flame tower there. I got 7 ore trucks, and I earned 123,000 credits. My opponent earned 110,000 credits, so they did well there. I got 8 grand cash. My opponent managed to build up a grand towards the end, after I cleaned them out with the thieves. Right, I was at 37 actions per minute. My opponent was at 37 actions per minute. Excellent. But my score is 1,095. That's a decent score, and that represents the suffering and how difficult it was to hold on and to survive after that defeat at the start. So, yeah, there you go. And my opponent's 609 for their score, but there's all the rest of the stats, tabbed graphs and charts for you. I hope you enjoyed the game, and I certainly did. It was a good fun battle, that one. Well played to my opponent. But if you enjoyed the game, give us a sub and a like. And thank you very much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and until next time, goodbye.
Battle control terminated.